Hello, my name is Tyler Lee, and this is Conducting 417A. This is my TED Talk on how to inspire conductors to give your students in a secondary education level or even university level inspiration and musicality. So one of the big things when I watched the TED Talk is how would I, this is my reflection, is how would I envision my influence on my students if I were a music ed major. One of the biggest things that I would have done is I would have chosen quality literature and done history research over it. I would tell them exactly what the piece is, you know, how musical it is, how like what are the ideas, the scenery, all that stuff we talked about in 417A at the beginning of the semester around or beginning of the portion over in October. Um, for example, one of my most influencing decisions on how to be a music major was I heard the Harvest Concerto for Trombone at Oklahoma State, performed by Mr. Compton back then. And it was so inspiring for me because I saw somebody doing what I wanted to do professionally, getting paid for it and being really good at it. Um, and I think a big part of being a musician is being inspired by other people. So this also ties into the conductor as well, because if your conductor is inspiring, say you're like in the National Youth Orchestra or the National Symphonic Band, intercollegiate band, something like that, and you come across a clinician or a conductor that really goes above and beyond what is expected of himself or herself, and what goes beyond what you expect in a conductor. Um, for me personally, I feel like I try to be as musical and flowing as possible. I try to show my ideas and my thoughts with my arms and my hands. Um, Sometimes it doesn't come out the way that I want it to, but I try to convey my thoughts and my emotions to the musical ensemble or the people that I'm conducting or even the people I'm playing with. Because I think music in general, you have to be able to feel the emotion. You have to be able to see the differences in tone qualities, texture qualities, the timbre, all these other things. So going back to what makes a conductor inspiring is even though he has control of the ensemble, or she, it's the fact that he or she cannot survive without the ensemble. So the ensemble also has their creative ways of portraying what they think is acceptable in the pieces that they play. And also the conductor has his or her own. And this interaction of conductor versus ensemble, ensemble versus conductor, I think really helps inspire more thinking, more critical thinking, more inspiration um, mentally. Um, Also, one of the big things that I think a conductor inspires um, students by, or even professionals, is the the way that they carry themselves on the podium, the professionalism that they employ when they do their conducting for their ensembles. Uh, I know I wouldn't want a conductor that is immature or doesn't really know how to run a rehearsal well, or anyone doesn't know how to run a rehearsal at all, and it's just up there. I like personally, I like uniformity. I like having guidelines. I like having a plan. So when I try to conduct, I try to have a plan of what I can do to help my ensemble succeed and for them to feel inspired and moved by the performances that they do. Um, when a conductor stands up on the podium, it's a time for musical ideas, thoughts, and feelings to come out to the audience. And this also inspires the audience whenever a conductor is doing a professional job, or is really moving the ensemble, because the ensemble is moved and will produce more sound, tone quality, timbre, um, dynamics, and it will portray this idea of giving what they feel to the audience. And I think the biggest part of being a musician or even a conductor is conducting, or not conducting, um, approaching your audience in a way that they can feel connected to the music that you're playing. I mean, yes, there's program notes and all these other things, but what is really moving for the audience, and what keeps the audience coming back, and what even keeps classical music alive, is connecting with the audience and inspiring the audience, as well as inspiring your own musicians or your own classroom or even your own conductors. Um, also, I also feel like conducting doesn't necessarily have to be super professional, pattern wise, or um, dynamically thinking wise. Um, I also believe that you don't have to always worry about your pattern. You don't always have to worry about your stance or your um, conducting window or your box or square. I think conducting also inspires people by letting others come out of the box. Whereas, if I was a conductor and if I was just standing there doing a four pattern and totally disregarding the dynamics or disregarding the musical line or the melody, I don't think it would be very inspiring to your musicians. But with somebody who would stand up there and be on the podium and give all these musical ideas and thoughts, and not really worrying about what his conducting pattern is doing, or his dynamic hand, or his or her, I should say. I think that also relieves a lot of stress on the conductor, because he or she isn't having to worry about being super uptight and professional about it. They can really loosen up and give the ensemble, what the ensemble is craving, what the music is craving. Because if you're not in music to make music, then you're not music at all. So I think one of the biggest inspiring factors that we all have on each other is we have that desire to make music.